Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this episode of Community Voices Uganda here on Civic Space TV. And my name is Phillip Muliisa. On this episode, we are having a conversation around political party manifestos. You and I may already know that the political season is already towards the end, and currently we are in campaigns. The different political parties have gone out there to deliver documents that have their vision, their priorities, their policy commitments that should deliver the kind of Uganda they want to deliver to the people of Uganda in the next 5 years, 2026 to 2031. And here we are trying to find the connection between these documents and the youth. And we understand, courtesy of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, that about 70 to 80% of the population of this country is persons below the age of 35. But again, when you break it and still go to what we call the youthful age, and that should be 16 or 18 to 35, again, you have about 12 million Ugandans who are in that category. So certainly want to see if these documents actually speak to these people that are in that category of youth, but also the young ones who are soon joining the League of Youth, and indeed look at what they have to deliver for those people so that in the future and going forward, they are part of this beautiful cake called Uganda. My name is Phillip Muliisa, and before we get into the depth of that conversation, I will invite my panel here that is composed of distinguished citizens of this country to say hello to you, my viewers, and later on we continue with the conversation. I will start with Mr. Michael Mwenyi. Michael is an economist, and he's with the Capital Markets Authority. Michael, greetings. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Philip. It's a pleasure being here to share my thoughts about this discussion. Thank you so much for organizing this.
Yes, thank you, Michael, for joining us. We also have a lawyer, that is Alobo Salme Joyce. Joyce, greetings. You're welcome to the conversation. And how is where you are?
Thank you very much, Philip. My name is Joyce. I am Northern Uganda, and I'm very grateful to be on the platform and share my views. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for joining us today, and we look forward for the engagement with you. We too have Council Collines Himbaza. Council, greetings and welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip. I'm Collines Himbaza. Currently, I was on the move, but I was like, let me first stop on the way and I attend this after I got the invite yesterday. I'm grateful for this. I know the youth are going to get to know what is taking place because everyone is running up and down following candidates, but they don't know what the candidates have in their package. So I think by the end, we shall have to benefit both us and the youth and the millennials and maybe the Gen Zs. So thank you very much for the invite. I'm present and available.
Thank you so much, Collins, for joining us, and we look forward to the engagement as well. We too have Masawi Ivan. Masawi is from the Forum for Democratic Change, a leader there, and is also contesting for Eastern Youth Member of Parliament. Masawi, greetings and welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Philip, and our fellow colleagues on the call. I need to appreciate you for the invite about the topical discussion of manifesto debates. Personally, I was one of the young people that contributed towards the FDC Fifth Manifesto for the 21 years the party has existed. And I look forward towards a very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, and indeed we look forward to the engagement. And lastly, we have Nankya Esther. Esther is from the National Resistance Movement, a youth leader at that, and we are glad to have you, Esther. How are you and how is where you are?
Good morning, comrades. I hope you are all well. I am Esther Nankya. I have been the Vice Chairperson of the National Youth Council for the past 5 years, 2020-2025. We voted in a new executive committee. Yeah, so I am a former Vice Chairperson of the Youth Council and also aspirant for Central Region Youth Member of Parliament. Only that I did not get the NRM ticket, so I might not be able to serve the young people this term, but I'm grateful to be part on the call, and I welcome all my colleagues that have joined in. I'm looking forward to sharing my views on the topic. I thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Esther. But before you go away, you say you are contesting, but you did not get the card, so you may not be able. What is clear the air? Are you standing or you're not standing?
I was in the NRM primaries for Central Region Youth Member of Parliament. Can you hear me? Philip,
Yes,
can you
I do
hear
hear
me?
you.
Yeah. I was running for our
Very
flag
much so.
NRM party, the NRM party. Unfortunately, I didn't get the flag. But being an NRM member, whatever the result, whatever the dynamics, whatever happened, you have to support the flag bearer. So I think that is what I have to do as a member of the party. We shall support our flag bearer for that case.
All right, appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And maybe we should appreciate you for being the person that responds to the rules and respects them. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to start with the two of you in 2 or 3 minutes, if you can quickly, because we are talking about whether your manifestos actually speak to the aspirations, to the desires, to the needs of the youth in this country. And the two of you have been in youth leadership in your respective parties. Masawi, a youth leader in the Forum for Democratic Change, and yourself, Vice President of the NRM Youth League, and now contesting to become members of Parliament for the youth still. And I want to hear from you. I'll start with you, Masawi. I know it could be a lot, but in 2 or 3 minutes, what is in the FDC manifesto specifically for the youth of this country that you actually seek to represent in Parliament 2026-2031?
Thank you very much, Philip. I don't know if 3 minutes are enough, but you allow me begin with a note of condolence to our neighbors in the Republic of Kenya for the loss of one of the region's pillars of activism, and a person who has been known for saying that he steers political action across the region to empower certain groups of society. Coming back to your question, as the FDC, we are not new to this country. We have been here in the last 5 elections and with manifestos. But to be direct to your question, we did come up with a manifesto statement of fixing the economy, money in our pockets. Because any party, you brand your manifesto also with the strengths that you feel you can best offer, looking at the strengths of our presidential candidate, who is a renowned economist, who has been a legislator for the last 25 years, who is a teacher, who is a lawyer, who is a businessman, who has led various organizations, and a former leader of opposition, that is the Right Honorable Nandala Mafabi. We toured towards a manifesto policy statement that would be best fit towards also unleashing our candidate by his abilities, but also seeing that we work for a socially, economically transformed Uganda, where there is equal opportunities and the citizens have a control over their destinies. Because unlike other manifestos that are promises, the FDC, we never had promises, but we had a pledge to Ugandans. I personally took place in the psychographics of Pillar 5 because our manifesto, we tried to reduce it to 5 pillars. That was Pillar 1, generating employment opportunities, Pillar 2, strategic investment, Pillar 3, which is the human capital development. Pillar 4 was leadership and governance. And Pillar 5 is the interest groups, where you'll find the youth in chapter 5.2, where we had a specific address towards the youth challenges. So, to the young people of Uganda, looking at our Alobo statistics, national housing and population census, that show that 84 out of every 100 people in Uganda are dependents. And we also looked at still the very report of Alobo showed that 4 million Ugandans out there, they are not in skilled labor or unskilled labor. We just have idle labor, a lot of it across the country. We based most of our pillars depending on the reports, but also on the statistics, on the facts, and also on the realities of society. So when we talked about issues like generating employment opportunities, we still have people who are no longer youth but have never been employed. That is still idle labor. That some of the pillars would isolate, would target youth in particular as a specific group, but others were open because of the country's challenges. And we also took cognizance to what the NRM had covered, but also towards what we feel that they had left out and would do better than they were doing. But because it is never in bad faith to say you won't appreciate what they had done in 40 years, but you could promise to effectively use time to always say that the rate of accomplishment is better, but you also do better work than they have done. So I will maybe more be interested in questions where you feel young people, especially in the human capital development, where we see that there has been a lot of issues concerning tailoring our young people with our education. First, the education capitation grants, which were 20,000 and 40,000 for secondary one time. These were key issues to being renewed, to pushing them to 200K for a primary student and 500,000. Then even the budget allocation itself to education and health, where at least to see that our health sector, given we have a young population, our health sector will be given 10% of the budget to see that it addresses issues where Uganda has fallen a victim of foreign dependence of aid and with the coming of certain sanctions from European countries. We really see that we need to build a robust health sector, especially for the elders who have been around for some time to be supported. So one of the biggest issues was our targeted investment on sports and creative arts. Salary disparities has been a key issue, where we still feel that the arts and science teachers debate also affect the quality of graduates and students that the country produces. So in our interest groups, we looked at youth grant schemes, we looked at social safety nets for our youth who are in the unskilled sector, like the border industry. We looked at restoring the entities that have gone idle, like the chambers of commerce, to help in certification of our youth graduates so that they are marketable. Philip, you and me all know that we once woke up and we saw that we are doing courses that were not being certified by the National Youth Council in terms of accreditation. These are some of the loopholes that have demarcated our young people, even those who have invested highly in education to graduate. So basically, given you gave me 3 minutes and I've exhausted, maybe I'll come back to elaborate more on other pillars. But all I beseech is that as a part at one time, the young people highly resonated with. Yes.
Breaking for us, the P5 manifesto, you talk about employment, strategic investment, human capital development, governance, and of course, interest groups. which is much more on the youth, the women, the persons with disabilities, and so on and so forth. And thank you for that. But two, you speak about that you take note of the achievements of the national resistance movement and you want to maintain and build on them. And that pushes me directly to this, the former chairperson of the NRM Youth League, Madam Nankya. Look, Masawi, in the lens of the Forum for Democratic Change, they say you've done something, but they want to make it better. But also he says there are areas where you've not even done anything and they want to make sure that is put at the forefront to make sure they transform this country, but specifically have things tailored for the youth. He talks about investment in sports, in health, he talks about grant schemes and so on. And I want to hear from you. When we listen to the conversations from the NRM, you tell us protecting the gains, consolidating what you've achieved and make sure maybe we maintain it or even make it better, but specifically and precisely, what is in the NRM manifesto that you feel you as a person that wants to represent the youth in the coming parliament are speaking to the challenges they are facing and certainly will be a credible solution for those challenges?
Thank you, Philip. Thank you for that question. But point of correction before I even continue is I am not a former chairperson of the NRM Youth League. I am simply an NRM Youth League member because currently I am the vice chairperson of all NRM youth of Mukono. That is my current position. So I am a youth league member, but I have never been their chairperson. But I have been in the youth council. I have been in the youth council as the vice chairperson of the National Youth Council. I am waiting to hand over, like I told you. We have already put the entire committee from the village level into place. Yes, I should say, let me first appreciate Masai, my comrade, for accepting the bitter truth that indeed NRM has tried to do something. At least for him is saying, yes, there is need for change, or there are more things that need to be done, but we are not starting from zero. We are starting from somewhere. And there are some achievements that NRM has really put in place. I am grateful for that. Thank you for acknowledging that, my brother Masai. Now, this is what I have to say about it. I agree with the manifesto slogan of saying that we are trying to protect the gains. And at a particular point, from a layman's point of view, you might think there are no any serious gains to protect. But really, there are some things that have... But the truth is, the naked truth is, there is something that has... Can you hear me?
If you allow me, there is a request here that if you're able to have your video on, yes, I can hear you, but there is a request that if you're able to have your video on, kindly have it so that people are able to feed from your knowledge as they can see you.
I think it is not possible because I am
to do that.
I am not in position to do that. I'm really sorry about that. I am really sorry about that, Philip.
Please proceed.
Yes. There are very many different sectors where the NRM has really tried. The NRM has to take care of the youth. It has to take care of women. It has to take care of men, older persons, people with special needs or disability, the veterans, the workers, the entrepreneurs. It has a very big number of people to take care of. But for the youth in particular, the fact that we are the majority of the country and statistically we are 78% of the total population, it means that there has to be more emphasis. There has to be more emphasis put onto the young people, given the fact that they are going to even be the future of our country, or they are going to take on our country forward. And I want to inform people listening in that there are very many priority areas, be it human capital development, be it access to education, be it healthcare, be it employment creation, be it sports and creative arts and sports where the NRM has really tried. I want to give you examples, and I want to tell you that we are really ready to continue on that steady progress. We want to continue on ensuring that we bring young people onto in line with what the government is trying to do in those different areas. On peace and security, we can all testify to that at least there is some good peace and security in Uganda today. We might not have 100%, but the fact that even our neighbors come and borrow from our security, from our security, then it means that at least we are trying to do better than most of them. The green jobs, there are very many jobs being created. I want to talk about employment creation. On the side of youth, I have been in the Youth Council, and this is what is really happening. There are grants specifically for youth at every district that is under the Youth Livelihood Program. The Youth Livelihood Program managed by Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, where the youth fall in particular. This program gives resources to young people in form of cash to groups of young people who are willing to start up something for themselves. We have the PDM, Parish Development Model. This one goes right to the parish level. It gives support to young people in agriculture. Anywhere in the value chain, you can be in the garden, you can be buying produce, you can be adding value to the produce, you can be selling the produce. Anywhere you want to be in the value chain, there is support fund for you. Emyoga, these are small funds for circles doing other things like maybe machinery, maybe carpentry, maybe, other things. But I want to bring it to your attention that there are also skilling hubs. Government has put regional skilling hubs, and so far we have 18. These are skilling hubs every 6 months. Every district takes 50 young people. 50 young people, for example, I can give you, I come from Mukono. We have our skilling hub in Kayunga. Every district from the region takes 50 people. 50 times 4, that is 200 people. 200 every 6 months in a year, that is 400 people being skilled. And after skilling, most of those are given startups to be able to start up something small for themselves. So what I want to tell the people listening in is really, I think government is trying to do something about what is affecting us. Being young people, all sectors affect us. And there is a plan of increasing the number of young people being skilled to double or even 3 times, So for me, I think, yes, there are some of the things that are not yet done, but there are some baby steps that we are taking as a country, especially for the young people. And the access to education. I am a product of USE, Universal Secondary Education. We have UPE, Universal Primary Education. Yes, the schools are not doing well, but in this financial year, in this period of 5 years, government is planning to renovate some of those schools to bring more on board and also to try to support such education further, Then to healthcare, you have seen health centers, 4s and 2s being
Yes, as you conclude on that, with that, Esther.
Yes, as I conclude, there are hospitals being built, there are medicines being taken to those to health centers. Yet a lot needs to be done because a lot needs to be done because it is a very big congregation. It is a very big population, but I believe with this manifesto, if it is really taken in that keenly, then a lot has to be done. I cannot leave this call without talking about sports. Sports. Most of the young people are in sports. You have seen how we are now hosting very big sports games currently. You have seen very many sports activities taking on in Nambole here. You saw the stadium being constructed in Hoima. I think we are really trying to take steps that are taking us forward. We have very many talented young people in our country, and most of those are being taken care of. You people know of the creative arts. You know of our musician Eddie Kenzo and his people. They have now a federation. Government is trying to make sure that even young people who are in those sectors are taken care of. So supporting such creative arts and maybe trying to hear them out and maybe
All
trying to
right.
make them
Thank you,
better
Esther.
are
And
some of the. I want to finalize, my brother. I am a vet doctor. I am an agriculturalist. I cannot live without talking about agro-industrialization. A lot is being done. Very many young people are being supported to join agriculture. I'm Muganda by tribe. I cannot live without applauding the Katikiro and his team for bringing up the Mwenyi Micheal campaign, where very many young people have gone back to their villages. I have visited many of these. Very many young people in our district, in Greater Masaka here, go to Bukomansimbi, go to Chotera, go to Rakai, go to Masaka. Young people have gone back to the gardens and they are planting coffee. Why? Government has enabled that. They have given them small funds that have enabled them to rent or hire maybe land if they don't have, and then start up something for themselves. Now, before I leave, I want to encourage everyone listening in that yes, we are the future of our country. And actually the future is now. So government has really tried to provide for us all the space. Let us try to put this space to great use. Do anything that you can. If you are in sports, try to look for that. For opportunities. If you're in a creative arts, if your passion is in agriculture, if you want to study,
that
anything
you
that you
have
want to do.
I appreciate that you have shared quite a bit of what NRM has really done for us, and I've allowed you a little more time because you have the biggest burden. First of all, to convince the people that are listening to you of how much you have done, and indeed your commitment to continue doing more should you be elected into office for the next 5 years. And certainly you've done a good job in listing out what the NRM has done. But again, we have to listen to the other people. And let me come to you, Michael. Look, you are a planner, and a manifesto usually is more or less a plan of what this particular political party is going to put out and deliver for the next 5 years. If it's a building, there is a plan, and certainly the engineer will follow that. In this case, the engineer is the president and his team. If it's the FDC, their president and the team. From how you've interacted with these manifestos and indeed how the campaigns are unfolding, do you think we have a good plan from any of them to deliver progress, growth, transformation from where we are as a country? Yes, Michael.
Thank you so much, Phil. I hope clear audible. To start with, honestly speaking, when I try to interact with these manifestos, all of them are actually linked to the National Development Plan. So that is one thing that I like from all the manifestos, because I mean, we don't expect different, manifestos looking so different from other, candidates, because Uganda as a country, we are, facing the same challenges. We are going through, some sort of related challenges across all regions that any serious presidential candidate would want to address. And this doesn't matter whether the current government or the opposition that is going to bring in the new change, the new Uganda, and the change we can trust. I think we need to have a honest discussion, because a manifesto is just a document. My friend Ivan will actually come out and tell you that, look, this is a document we've tried to come up, more of a blueprint that this is what we want to see in the next 5 years. Yeah, this is what we have on paper as, opposition, as NOP, as FDC, as ANTI, as NRM, that we want to achieve in the next 5 years. The question is what? As you put it on paper, are you really bringing out the reality for us as planners, as economists, to see that indeed this plan is viable to be achieved? This is the same question that we would actually be having. I personally have, I have a lot of reservations on some manifestos, and this brings my sister Esther, because you see, when you're talking for a government, you have quite a lot to do, because this is a government that has been in power. Now we are soon making 40 years. And when I try to interact with NRM manifesto, I have been allowed to look at manifestos from 2016, 2021, and now we are talking about 2026. Nothing much is done actually, nothing much. I mean, we've had YLOP right from 2016 that is looking at youth. This is not changing. The manifesto is not saying that they're going to come up with a new program. We are talking about UWEP right from 2021 and 2016 as well. Looking at now, we are talking about Emyoga, we are talking about PDF, and of course, all other, general health services that target the youth. We're talking about debate. These are the things that we can implement. And there is no new president that's going to come on board and change some of the things. If you look at the FDC manifesto, they're promising 1 million for each graduating student. Ivan can tell. They're promising 100 million for each parish, 100 million for each sub-county, 500 for each sub-county, 100 for each village. When you look at NT manifesto, they're coming up with, an affirmative action for the youth and children, talking about the planning with the homesteads, because this is one of the biggest challenges facing this country. The question we must be asking ourselves is, how do we materialize this? At the end of the day, Esther talked about a lot of things, and it's true, it's happening. Are we really seeing the change that we would want to see? If you start looking at Uganda right now from the 5 years and the current, let's just leave around these numbers. The economy is growing. Yes, we agree, but the population is also growing. When you get to reality, now you come from from a village point of view. Ivan, I think, comes from village. Esther is lucky that Mukono has a different picture. But when you get down there, you appreciate that we still have a lot to do as a country. Yeah, because when you look at the manifestos, they are all telling us, Nopo is talking about 10 million jobs. I'm sure these are targeting youth. When you talk about, the art exports, looking at manufacturing, where they're promising us industrial parks that actually NRM is still implementing. The question is what? What are we going to do different that we think can bring change? And this is where I wanted my sister Esther to focus on. Look, NRM, this is what we've been doing, but this time around, we've realized this is where the problem is. If we are saying corruption is affecting us as a country, is affecting our budget annually, what is that new innovation that we are going to come up? Which initiative are we going to put in place to ensure that we curb corruption as a country? If we don't address that, then it's the same business as usual. Nopo is saying they are going to, there is a lot of extravagance in, expenditure. There is wasteful expenditure, and that is one of the points they're trying to bring out. FDC is telling you, look, we are taking a very different strategic direction. Yeah. If we want to create employment, we want to focus on this list that I'm mentioning: coffee, cotton, and all that. These are things FDC. But for you, they're telling us that, look, this is how we are going to do it. So if we want to have a different sort of picture, because when we use the word change, people keep thinking it is an opposition point of view. No, even NRM itself can change the way we want to see things. And say, look, this year we have dealt with the PDM. What have we achieved by now? We would actually be happy to be sharing reports right now and say, the last 3 years, this is what PDM has given us. We think if we handle it in this different sort of approach, we are going to realize different results. If we continue lamenting on the same infrastructure, what is happening in the country? How many roads have we constructed in the 5 years compared to what was promised? And how many roads are we expecting? Has our revenue base, expanded? We must be very categorical in what we want to see. And that is how we Ugandans are going to hold, any sort of party that comes with power accountable. That, look, you promised us 100 roads, and these are the roads you promised us, but we are not seeing these roads. When you look at Manafa Bududa Road, it was promised right from 2016. 2021 was promised. Right now, we're still talking about the same road. So what is happening? And this is the honest, holistic discussion that I expected us to have. Because we still have challenges. If I conclude, Ivan, I wanted Esther to talk about decision-making process. When you look at our cabinet right now, average age is around 60. But how many youth? We are saying 75% of this country's population are below 30. So when it comes to decision making, are we really bring the youth on board? It's not just about empowerment economically. Can we also involve them politically in terms of decisions that we are taking? Because we understand ourselves. They have tried to have a different approach to the ghettos and all that, but we must be asking ourselves, is it working? That is the question.
Well, is it working? Thank you so much, Michael, for that. And perhaps that's a question for everyone that is looking for political office, to especially those in power. Esther, you really have to answer the things you have done. You've had the critic there. Has the Youth Livelihood Program worked? Has the Uganda Women Empowerment Program worked? Has EMYOGA worked? The Parish Development Model, and Tandikwa to mention but a few. And certainly convince these people that indeed you deserve another term in office and continue serving. But before I come back to you, I want to hear from Collines here. Collines, you are a lawyer, and permit me come to you through that lens. You see, one of the challenges the youth have faced over time is in connection with the legal systems, and how, for example, you've had, when you speak to anyone from the National Unity Platform, they will tell you the laws do not favor them. They will tell you they have their members that are arrested, detained, abducted, whichever term you want to use for that matter. They are not tried and they are in prisons or detention centers somewhere. They will tell you that their parties are threatened by the same laws that should protect them. I want to hear from you, is relating it to the political party manifestos and indeed how the campaigns are unfolding in the coming term, whether it is the NUP, whether it is the NRM, whether it is the FDC or the Common Man's Party. Do we stand a chance of seeing a transformed, a changed rule of law system mechanism that supports respect to the Constitution and the different laws that govern this country, and certainly to say that all Ugandans will be treated as equals before the laws of Uganda? Collines.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillip, the moderator of today, all members present. I would say good morning once again. I'm grateful that in my entire life, I've never had a political party that I belong to. I've always been neutral. And in being neutral, there are certain things that I've appreciated as I grew up. I will first go straight to the question asked me about the NUP youth who face arrests, detentions, left and right. The Constitution is clear. I'm lucky that all of us, if I can say, we are millennials. We have been working with this Constitution for some good time of years. And in working with this Constitution for some good time of years, it has enshrined rights to each and every person. There is those rights of equal presentation, bail, you have your freedom of press, everything. The Constitution gives you all the mandate to what you can do. But I will stand to say that whenever we want to engage our rights, we need also to engage the law. You'll brief with me. I think Joyce will tell you, she's also a lawyer, that's good. To tell that we always say as who go to the law school that the law gives you from the right and will take off from the left. Which means when you misuse the law that you've misused will be the same law that will again you'll be answerable to. The youth in NUP, I would say, they try to be civic. They try to come out to give a stand of what they think can be of change on their end. But sometimes it is misused. There is when someone, a police officer is telling you, please don't pass here. But for you want to show him that you can pass there. The police officer wants to tell you, please, this what people you're doing, burning tires in town, on the road, you're doing whatever you're doing, you don't want to be talked to. Instead, you want to tell him and challenge him how you want to change the government. The government is never changed by noise. We are in a democratic country. We change the country, Esther will tell it to you, by ballot these days. So we are. Those days we are unlucky that we didn't witness what happened some years back. But the country is never changed by being adamant, by being affiliated to something. We change a country on ideology of democracy. That's what I think I can say. And secondly, the rule of law coming to play, the rule of law we need to appreciate it, that all of us, we are equal before the law. No one is above the law. So when we understand that no one is above the law, we are equal, the way the law could treat me is the same way the law will treat someone in leadership. I will mention the few. You've seen what have been happening with some readers. I can give an example. Amama has faced the law he brought in press. He then who brought the public management bill. But when he came to contest in 2016, you saw how the law treated him. So that's why I was saying the law gives you from the right and to take from the left if you don't apprehend to it and appreciate it. Then to go back to what my colleagues have elaborated on, Michael elaborated on something, Ivan has come to put across something, and Esther have put out something. I would appreciate the three presenters who have so far presented. I would first talk to Esther. Esther, I'm sorry, NRM has the manifesto. When you look at their manifesto, around page 72, they say they are going to invest in the youth. And investing in the youth, I'm critiquing, not in bad faith, but I'm critiquing. If you want to invest in the youth, they only looked on two things: talent, sports, and the musicians. My friend Esther, are we all the population of the youth who are even over, let's say we are maybe even over 10 million, are we all going to be footballers? Are we all going to be artists? Because when you look at page 72, I have evidence on that. They're investing in talent. Yes, talents are there, but there's someone who cannot manage to play football, but is skilled. We are now facing a lot in technology advancement. The youth would want to look at technology advancement because every day we are advancing in technology. You bear with me that if you're walking on the streets of Kampala, you see something new, technology-wise, which our country has not appreciated. So if you tell me that for your manifesto on the youth platform, you're going to say, we are going to look on talent, we have paid money for Chan, that is not helping us. That is rubbish. Even I told some friend last time that when they are giving this one, I'm sorry that I've used the word which is not right. I'm sorry, I can withdraw it. When we were playing this channel last time, how could the president, who is a leader, go to give $1 billion of money? Some people are rotting in Mulago, sleeping down, and majority, when you go to the casualty ward, you find the youth lying down. Because for the youth lying down, they are from this ground that they don't even have money to afford to go to these expensive hospitals. There is no bed, there's no medicine, and someone who's playing football because he's earning already, you have to again give him a token of $1 billion. Would that be favoring us in this particular time when everything is on a crisis? That one, I'll leave it to Esther to come and answer it to me clearly and tell us, what does NRM plan for the youth? We have been talking these things. These things have been talked about in black and white every day. I will be appreciative to Ivan. Ivan, then who tells us, has told us, has been into manifesto developments at FDC. When I was growing up, they used to tell us that FDC is always the one which makes manifesto of NRM. And indeed, when you look at the manifesto of FDC, it speaks a lot that are going to give people 1 million, the youth. Yes, parish model has been in the other manifesto, not this new manifesto. We would want a new manifesto to tell us how we've implemented the PDM. But if you're coming again to tell us that we're going to give people PDM, yet this one has not been implemented to the core of why you brought it, because it was in the previous manifesto, how do you see that you people, it's a repetition. And we are in the country which is moving ahead. We are in the dynamics of the world. We don't need to go back behind. I will come back to a point of education. Now to summarize. In education, we would want to copy. Let me copy from Rwanda. Rwanda has traditional schools that the government has gone ahead to sit down and embark on them with free education by rehabilitating them, refurbishing them afresh. Here, instead of us, actually, I can tell you that in Rwanda, the people who even own private schools are not even anyone close to the government. Here we are having, I can give an example. Muyingo is in the government. That is Useta High. I've been told about St. Lawrence. Initially, the person who was heading it was affiliated somewhere in the government. Private schools are dominating public schools. Where do we benefit from? This young person, I'm a UP product. Well, but there's this young person in my village where I come from who cannot even afford 10,000. And now here you're telling him, we have put for you UPE, but when the term is beginning, you have to go with 100,000. You have to go with 200,000. From where is that? And when you look at the Millennium Goals of LAFRE around, the Millennium Goals were for 2005. There was free education. But right now, we are on what we call standard goals, Goal 2030. We are still bringing free education. What haven't we done to accomplish the little that we had promised people a long time ago? And lastly, I will close it up by saying, let us look on our presentation, the youth. I will say to say it, I'm concluding on it. Presentations in Parliament on all levels. Yes, on all levels, we are presented very well. The youth league and whatsoever and whatsoever. But when it comes to the national cake, which is Parliament, where all our ideas and the youth are presented, we are limited. How are we limited? We are limited that you find they're saying that there is a youth representative MP from Western Uganda. He's covering 8 districts. And this person comes from a district, maybe in Uganda, we have a lot of languages. We have different cultures. And this person, who's a Munyankore, is going to represent a Mufumbira. He's going to represent someone who's a Muchiga. So you will find that we are having that challenge, that we are not equally represented. The same as to East African parliamentary and legislative, I think how the East Africa Legislative Committee or Council, there is no youth represented there. They say government will send 9 members. But in the 9 members, we will not see a youth being sent to be on that, so that at least we balance, we lobby for ourselves. So with that one, we are having that challenge. And lastly, it goes back to our parliament. The process of making these decisions. Do the people we send in parliament look on the youth? We have been being told that the leaders of tomorrow. But now, if I was told I was a leader of tomorrow, when I'm 5 years, I'm 30 years, I have not seen that come. Jobs are nowhere. So that at least, even though you'd say I cannot be an MP or a leader or a chairman, but I can work somewhere and I lead myself. But those things have been a promise. Even my child who is young, I'm going to promise him, you're the leader of tomorrow.
All right.
But it will not come. Thank you very much. I will be able to be delighted to be here again, chance to speak. Thank you very much. But otherwise, if this has got a good manifesto that if we would look on it.
Thank you so much, Collins, for that. Well, I know Masawi is smiling in pride, but thank you so much for your submission there, leader. And certainly we hope your tomorrow arrives sooner than later, courtesy of Nankya, all the people around her getting to let go of some leadership. They want to. We have different. One of them is promising the gain of put in place of Uganda. We have a talking about value-based leadership. Masawi's group that is fixing those fit of this country. Yes.
Philip, please add on. You've been breaking. I couldn't really hear you.
Maybe Philip should also, maybe for now you can put off the video. The network might not be good on your site as well.
Philip, I think your network is really shaky because you're quiet. Maybe it's mine, but I can't really hear you.
You know, we have the different formations that are. Does somebody hear me here?
Yeah, you're clear. You're loud and clear.
Yes, people, we are getting you. You're clear.
All right. Thank you so much, and apologies on that network challenge there. It's I apologize, and hopefully we are able to go on smoothly for the rest of the conversation. And Joyce, I was still asking from you to speak to us about what you think the needs of the youth in this country are in this day and age, and certainly looking at what all the political formations are looking to deliver for the country, whether it is the NRM or the NUP or the Common Man's Party or the Alliance or the FDC. What do you think actually the youth are looking out for in these very different manifestos and indeed the promises the politicians are making? Yes, Joyce.
Thank you very much, Philip. For me, generally, I'll use an example of myself. The challenges the youth in my area usually face is we have the challenges of unemployment. Then we really have bad roads. Our infrastructure, it's really lacking, from the hospitals to the roads. They're not okay. And then the schools, they're not okay, because as a youth or an upcoming youth, the challenges they face start from the ground roots of the education. I think this third term, when the teachers were striking, when you move around and in the schools, you don't find any teacher in the school, or even the pupils themselves are not in the school. Now, when you compare that, a private, you don't expect a child in the private school who is continuously learning and a child in the public school have the same footing or the same ground. Now, the youth in this country, we have the skilled, we have the semi-skilled, then we have those who are unskilled. They are at zero level. And I think at some point when we are looking at the youth, we mostly tend to lean more on those who are skilled and the semi-skilled, leaving out those who are completely unskilled without helping them out, because obviously helping them would require more resources and more support.
Joyce, the NRM seems to have a solution to that. And Esther here was telling us that they have skilling hubs across the country, and every other year they are offering skills free of charge to the youth. Is that not a solution to the uneducated and unskilled in the different communities? Joyce, are you with us?
The manifesto of the NRM, I also read for the end. Very sorry for that. Let's look at the investment that we have right now with the youth. We have the PDM, we have the money that there's that youth funds that come in, but most of these funds are affected. One, the bureaucracy. It's not a very easy process to acquire them, and not everyone is informed that, oh, there is money funds somewhere for the youth and all that. Then when we also look at there's also corruption involved. I remember I think about PDM when it first came. So there's a group I went to, like, let's register. And then they're like, no, if you're to register with us, you must be able to part with a certain percentage of the income for those who are going to give the income to us. And I was wondering, if you're putting out these incomes to support the youth, why is it again that they have to part with a certain section of it? So they're now being selective and putting out only people who are willing to part with a certain amount of income to be able to give it. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. So that's when I started looking at it from a different angle. If we are to help the youth, there are very many other things we have to tackle in the process. One is the decision making regarding the youth. You cannot be saying you're going to decide, make decisions regarding the youth when you're not involving them. Like it has been said earlier, the youth make the largest population of the country. I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. If we make the largest population, look at the people that are involved in the decision making. What percentage are the youth involved in it? The majority are not the youth. So they don't, if you're going to help someone, help them how best they want to be helped, not how best you think they can be helped. But some of these decisions might be well and good working for the youth, but it might not be working for everyone. Then when we look at, I already talked about the corruption that is there. Now, if we're going to support the youth and you're like, okay, fine, you're going to be dealing in maybe metalworks, farming, you're supporting them to farm, yes. But then the roads are doing bad, very, very bad. If they are able to participate in farming, plant their crops, get their produce, it is another story, and it's very hard to be able to transport your goods from the farm to the markets or to a place where you're going to get better market prices. And then so many people have talked about, in their manifestos, they've talked about increasing employment, how they're going to create more jobs for the youth and all that. But then one thing that I think the government has not addressed ever since the 1980s is about the wage limit. How much are these people going to be paid in the jobs that you're going to create? Because I think ever since, 1984, we have never, by then in 1924, it was about 6,000, but it has never been changed from that time. I don't think it has even, I think it was a point of contention at some point, but ever since then, they haven't really, there is no formal oligo writing in determining.
Yeah, again, perhaps that maybe that's another question for the NRM party to respond to, because at least the bill, the wage bill, and I think it is the president that refused to assent to it, but also Parliament gave up on it. You understand there are other avenues they can use to push it until it becomes law, but it is somewhere in the shelves drafted, but not put out in action.
Right? If it's there and it hasn't yet been put in action, but for me, it's a very important issue that has to be worked on. In the manifestos, NRM talks about improving what they already have. Nope. The honorary for Noop mostly criticizing what is there, but then I think regardless of whatever government is in power, let us look at regardless of whatever government gets in power, they should look at their manifestos and how they are going to implement them, how best they can implement them, and how best they can sustain them. At the end of the day, we should also have a review, like Mr. Michael said, there should be a review. We did this to try and alleviate this. Did it work? How best did it work? If it did not work, what other solution can we have to alleviate something? But then it shouldn't just be a competition of we can do this better, we can do the other one better, we can do the other one better. We should first leave out fighting among the political parties of who can do better, who can do the other one better, and actually sit down to see how best these things can work. One thing the government should is their expenditure, the things they spend on. One of the things they did was buying vehicles for cultural leaders. As I thought about it, and I'm like, you're buying vehicles for cultural leaders for their transportation. I happened to be in Ndago a few weeks back, especially in the cancer section. We have people who are suffering. If we could put that money to that section and improve on our health sectors, most of the health centers that we have, they are there in building, but they do not have the necessary facilities that they need. Something as simple as gloves may not be there in the hospital. So as the political parties are working on their manifestos, we're going to build more hospitals, we're going to build this, we're going to do that. Let's look at how best their plans can be implemented, how best they can sustain it. Let's just not put in our manifestos because we want the people, we want to win over the people. But let's be practical about our manifesto. How best is it going to work? Is it practical in the Uganda that we have? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Joyce, for that. And you end it on the note of commenting about the vehicles that were bought for culture leaders. And certainly we know that many people have received vehicles in this country, whether cultural leaders or religious leaders. A couple of, I think sometime last year we had vehicles procured for former speakers of the parliament, and people were saying, oh, these people have a budget to cater for them until they have a budget that should take care of them until they leave this world. But we also know that we have ministers that are catered for. We have members of parliament, they are given vehicles. Presidential advisors are given vehicles. We have RDCs we have deputy RDCs, and we also have assistant RDCs, and all these groups of people are provided for vehicles. So perhaps maybe the cultural leaders will also be saying, why not us if all those are able to get? But certainly those are conversations to continue having around the issue of expenditure. And I've seen a series of comments here that talk about the extravagance within, and of course, the priorities we take in terms of what we should spend on as a people. And thank you so much, colleagues, for those very many comments and reactions to the budget. And we are still on Community Voices Uganda here, speaking about the manifestos and what they're in is for the youth of this country, and indeed all the young people who are the majority, covering up to about 80%, 35 and below years. And certainly you had the reactions, the appreciation, and indeed where the panel thinks things have not worked out so well. And maybe if I come back to you, Ivan, I want to first listen to Esther here. Esther, a lot has been asked of you, especially I know there was a concern from Collines here to yourself, but also some of the other people, as whether the NRM actually, after 40 years in power, thinks they still can deliver better for the young people of Uganda that they have not delivered in the 40 years. Esther, your quick response to that.
Hi, Philip. Thank you so much for that question. I want to comment on what my colleagues have said. Colleagues, whatever you have said is true. Whatever you have said is right and true according to what you think as a young person. I should tell you that there are very many other people that see things differently, and everyone has their right to think about a particular solution, a particular event in their way or in their mind. But this is what I want us to appreciate as young people. Yes, NRM has done some things well, and we should appreciate them for what they have done, depending on how they got into power and at what state was our country then when they came into power. We should appreciate that, yes, there is something they have done for our country, even if it is not yet 100% there, but there is a goodwill of doing things right, you know. That alone should make us have hope as young people for the future. And I want to tell young people listening in that it is our mandate. It is now our mandate to take our country forward. We are saying that there is a lot of corruption. And who is doing the corruption? Who is stealing medicine that is supposed to be for other people in hospitals? Is it President Museveni who comes and starts telling you, without paying money, I will not work on your patient? It is not President Museveni doing that really, Vanange. Let us be realistic. The truth is, yes, there are some things that have gone wrong. But truth is, we are part of the problem. As Ugandans, as people in power, as people in NGOs. Because let me tell you, government is not all about whoever is the president of the country. We have CSOs that are supposed to support government. If any of you here is in a particular CSO, civil society organization, what are you doing to ensure that the challenges that young people are facing in our country are at least a bit solved, if not entirely, or to maybe to a particular percentage? Even these other political parties, yes, you are in existence. You have your youth league. What are you doing? Because let me tell you the truth. This is the reason I am supporting NRM. There is something that they have done. We appreciate, but they cannot do it alone. They need support from all other sectors, opposition, CSOs, you know. And it is us that are doing all those. I saw people here complaining about corruption. It is, for me, I was in my former Kalulu for youth. I told you I ran for NRM primaries. They were bribing voters. And who was bribing voters? A fellow youth. A fellow youth sold off his cows and land and came and gave every voter 2 million. Every voter 2 million. And that is how we come up by voting people who are not going to even say something on our behalf, because we decide to be bought off. And it is the same thing that is happening in your other youth leagues, other political parties. You buy voters and then they expect you to come and work for them. Which kind of leaders are our communities sending into parliament for sure? Before we start complaining that President Museveni is not supporting us as young people, which kind of leaders are we sending there? Because let me tell you the naked truth. It is parliament that will sit and allocate our budget for a financial year in the different committees. Which kind of brains are you sending to those committees? Are they people that have Ubuntu in them? Or they are selfish and greedy people that are going to simply share the budget and move away?
Esther,
We have the
if you
health
allow me, the people of
Mhm.
Uganda trusted the national resistance movement headed by President Yoweri Museveni to go in there and actually distribute the resources of this country. The role of parliament is just to scrutinize, but also do oversight when the implementation is being done. When you speak about
You're right.
corruption, it is still the NRM that has the core mandate to make sure the corruption, the bribery, the nepotism that people keep singing about is not in our public structures. If it is there, perhaps we should say that is a vote of no confidence in the NRM, that you have failed to deliver what you promised to deliver for this country. Should we conclude like that, Esther?
No, please don't conclude like that. I want you to get me clear, Philip. I want these young people to know, in me inclusive, that we have to be part of the solution. We should not just lament. We should not just lament and complain when we are the same people. We are the appropriators of corruption. We are the same people who will go and buy a job. For me, I refuse to buy a government job, because I know once I buy that job, I am starting bribery right away. But the people who buy them, Now, why am I saying all this, Philip? I don't want me to get, I don't want you people to get me wrongly. I want young people
Yes,
to wake up
please give us
and
that
do
view
not
as you
and
try to
stop
summarize.
lamenting. As I summarize, young people, yes, whatever you're saying about NRM is right. The roads are not yet there, but at least there are roads. When you're going up country, you see the roads up to Soroti, up to where. When you're going to Mbarara, when you're going to Hoima, you see the roads being worked on. There is something being done. It is not enough. I also agree. We do not have electricity, but we were saying 2 months ago, when West Nile was put to the national grid under the Ministry of Energy, led by our own national female representative, the current minister, Fiona Nyamtoro. We are seeing a few things being done, and the truth is they are not enough. But as young people, we should not start now complaining and lamenting. Will not take us anywhere. In our different capacities, in our different political parties, we should come up with solutions to ensure that whatever is not going on right in our government, we are ready to support and do it together with them. Because let me tell you, when you don't have medicine in Mulago, the budget is there. For me, by the way, I also call upon young people to watch UBC parliamentary sessions always, to get to know what is happening in our country, what kind of policies are being worked on, which member of parliament is being presenting, and what are they saying on our behalf. Because those are the people that do the allocation, and they go to their committees and start doing their work. If they decide to eat hospital money, is that President Museveni eating the money? Maybe one thing I can say about that end is, as the president of the country, you have to have your stand very clear that I don't want more corruption in my country, and maybe have to punish maybe some of those people who are doing it openly, even not openly, people who are stealing government money, and also priorities probably must change, because like one of my colleagues said, how can you buy vehicles when we have hospital medicine not being there? Probably some of those have to change. But for me, I want to simply call upon young people to stop complaining and lamenting, but have solutions, and let us be the first people to do what is right. Because today we are not ministers, but we are going to be the next ministers, like it or not. People are aging in government. They must be replaced. but who is going to replace them and what are their values? It comes down up to
Thank
our
you.
community. The kind of
Thank you,
leaders we
Esther,
are
for
sending.
that.
I want to, in the last minute, the kind of leaders we are sending into parliament. I want to give an example to Noop. Who is here for Noop, really? Eh? You leave a person who is going to say something for the party and maybe be a good example to the community, and you bring up someone who even doesn't know what parliament is and what it does. Which kind of leaders are we grooming to come and take our country forward? Because that is where decisions are made. When we want to go to the decision-making tables, let us also try to bring people who are going to be able to make the right decisions for our country. Otherwise, we shall keep lamenting and commenting otherwise and being frustrated and complain, because where decisions are made, the kind of brains that are there are not for decision making. They are for eating, and they have decided to eat everything and leave us empty. So young people in whichever political party that we go to, or we believe in, or we affiliate ourselves to, it is our mandate to be part of the system. If the system cannot bring us very well or in the right manner, we must force ourselves there and make sure that our voices and actions are heard. I beg to submit.
Well, thank you, Esther, for that. Oh, quite a rant there. And of course, a swipe in there to the NUP, but certainly you give a good submission in defense for your political party, and we appreciate that. Ivan, I want to quickly hear from you, perhaps looking at how the campaigns are going. How are people responding to your manifesto, and do you think you will perform quite well to your expectation come February 2026? Yes, Ivan.
Yes, Philip and colleagues on the call who have spoken, I want to appreciate you for your deliberations and contributions. When I woke up today, most of my colleagues were heading to Iganga and Bugiri, where we have our presidential candidate. And I was so happy to hear that the topic of discussion was manifestos and what they have for the youth. The Honorable Esther speaking is not someone who has been small in the last 5 years. She has been the vice chairperson of the National Youth Council, taking me. Actually, she's my, she has been my leader for, until when she hands over, I think. She knows how the NYC itself under the current government, which some people think it is an extra organ of government of the NRM party, has also had its challenges that we address in the Pillar 4 of the FDC of leadership and governance. Especially, they are the number one stakeholders in advocating for young people. But they know the hassles they faced first from funding cuts in the budget, but also from being swallowed by integration. And their relevance, I can tell you majority of them ran for political position in the NRM party structures, and they were complaining they don't have money. And you ask, where did those ones from the street come and beat leaders like Kidega, like Eweru, and who are serving all of us irrespective of your party? But that shows where the gaps are, that people like them who have been invested in to be right leaders, they are, people can come from nowhere because there is no systematic system that is strategic towards seeing that the country achieves its right leaders. And so, coming back to your question, the FDC, like I've told you, Philip, when you're planning, you also target to see effectiveness in your planning. Whatever we have spoken to see that we restore and we put right, whether in our strategic investments in ICT, in infrastructure, energy, or in our human capital development, or in our leadership and governance, are not isolative of what we are offering to interest groups. Administration is interlinked, and is why other people may say that when you say generating employment opportunities and you say allocating 10% of the budget to agriculture, first, most of the young people, just like you've asked me how if this is struggling, I think it is the same thing with agriculture. Most of our young people also have a shift that we need to put them to accept, which is mental, but also for them to appreciate that a culture of knowing. You see, Esther has run out of speaking about the manifesto, but she runs to the consciousness of young people whom she feels are not conscious enough, they don't read enough, they don't follow issues enough. That is why the discussion is always cut short, is that what are the drivers and the driving factors of young people towards casting for the right candidate? Are they manifesto driven? Are they driven by social media? Are they driven by money? You saw the Equal Opportunities Report give its distribution of wealth. You saw the UBOS report shows that in certain regions, we have over 78% of people who don't have even more than 2 pairs of clothes. So when these people receive free shirts, there are some are excited. That is their sad cloth in their sack. So if they are driven by getting free clothing, through entertainment, that a music system will visit their village for the first time, that a presidential convoy will visit their village and they will feel they have been remembered. So I've told you, the people who are us who have convicted ourselves that we can form a solution to the current. We are not coming from the moon, or we are not being exported from Cuba. We are Ugandans who have just consciously identified that there is a need, and that needs solutions which are pragmatic to be identified. So whenever you see leaders showing that there is a road, but they are not clear on which particular road, those are the accidents we are having. Generally, even President Museveni in his speaking will always show you they are doing a lot. But I think anyone should be systematic in your effectiveness to have some particularistic data and performance and always categorizing there's a lot. Is why I've told even me there are things I've seen. For example, defense, there's a lot of administration. We have 3.3 million leaders. Our public service in terms of wage bill for salaries, we are around 9.8 trillion shillings. That is a lot. It is a lot. We have RDCs, we have GISOs, we have too much replication of administrative functions. That is a lot. But how productive is it? That the taxpayers in this country, who are not even more than 5 million people, who pay at least tax of around 2 to 3 million a month, have to work for people who do nothing but just move around, that they are doing administration, which is replicated. So it's all about prioritizing what is called productivity in such a way that everybody has equal access to opportunity, but everybody is working. Because even when we promise that we pledge as FDC that in our pledge to a progressive tax regime, is all this requires carrying people who are the 84 out of every 100 who are dependents to have some bit of independence, at least reduce that to around 55%. Carrying around the 4 million idle Ugandans, not in skilled, non-skilled, or any form of labor, to at least reduce that to 2 million in the next 5 years. Because you can never build Rome in one night, but we need to have a way of assessing the performance, the parameters of our service delivery. I think beyond the manifestos, because I've told you the manifesto has a very small percentage in our elections here in Uganda. We don't need to pretend that it is a key driving indicator. Our elections that are filled with arrests, canes, police refusing you campaign in different places, switching off internet, changing RDCs in the night. It's a military interference. You can't say that a manifesto it also has its limitations in these elections of Uganda. So I want to appreciate you and the fellow colleagues on call that have submitted in, but on behalf of the FDC and the Right Honorable Nandara Mafari, who is pursuing to be the 10th president of the country, we do appreciate you for the invite, and we do seek your support and mandate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for that. And well, the people are viewing, the people are listening, and of course, even the persons of the panel will see if you convince them enough to give you their vote come 2026. I see, Collins, your hand is up. You want to make a comment, but I also see a message from Michael here who says, courtesy of the NRM government, his power will soon be out. So he might be dropping off. I don't know. Maybe, Michael, you make a quick comment before you go off, and certainly we pick out on Collins here, who seems to be a bit more stable.
Yeah, that's very right. And thank you so much, Philip. Allow me to thank my colleagues that have presented. Esther, yeah, for boldly, defending her party. I like bringing out issues from the technical perspective, yeah, because being a technical officer and as an economist that believes in that, unfortunately for us, we say statistics never lies. That is the fact. You can talk and talk and talk as long as we have information that actually portrays the actual picture. It's very hard for these people. I want to start from the point, and I really, more or less, is we really don't have many Ugandans out there that actually read these manifestos. We have 8 presidential candidates, and I tried to look for these manifestos. I only managed to read 4 that I've come across. We have a presidential candidate called Frank. We have Ali Haj Munyagwa. We have Mabirizi, who has come, I think, for the 2nd time. And then, yeah, we have all those, plus these ones who are known of the top 4. The question we must be asking ourselves, because you see, when I heard Esther say, this country, we are enjoying security and all that, in me, and it's not a regrettable thing, but if there is anything I regret was more digging into understanding how economies or countries develop, and also visiting other countries, seeing what they have done. If you look at South Korea, 50 years back, Uganda was far better than South Korea. What is happening right now, we may not get into that discussion. We must agree that, look, for a country to develop is founded on the infrastructure. If you have a road, productivity is going to increase. And that is how you're able to raise enough revenue in the country. This is how you're going to get money to develop a country. As we talk right now, our debt burden is just beyond means. We are getting to a point where we can't now borrow anymore. Ivan can break that for us at some point. So we are looking at particular issues that we planners, if we don't come out and prioritize for this country, we are in trouble. We must look at how we are spending money as a country. We must strategically make investments that we think, look, these are going to help us as a country. If we talk about oil, by now we must be discussing a refinery that actually is going to help us bring in a lot of revenues, and I'm happy we are taking in that direction. But as long as we are still lamenting on usual things, we are talking about a number of districts without general hospitals. We are talking about terrible roads. Me, I cannot understand as a youth, let me tell you, every time when I'm driving to Manafa and I have to pass by Mbali to visit a garage, I will not understand. I will not understand when everything is just crazy in this country. The cost of living is there. When you look at wage, we've been discussing the wage disparities in this country. When did the government enhance salaries for all staff? We can try to play around. Let's look at scientists, what. But it's not scientists running this country. So for me, I want to say all candidates have good manifestos. And indeed, they know what is affecting us. Can we get the will and do the right thing? This is where the whole issue is. Government has been doing a lot of things, but are we moving at the steady pace that we want to be? At this moment, these are the roads. For example, if we talk about Mbali, Kampala to Mbali, we would be having like more of a dual lane, more 4-lane road that if I'm driving to Mbali, I need only 2 hours to be in Mbali. We've talked about the Kampala Ginger Express. What is happening? Why does it have to take us so long? So I think we are not prioritizing, right? We have a very good document, which is the National Development Plan, which can help us to develop this country. But we keep diverting from the document. We have presidential directives. We have what? They are giving billions to artists who just jump on stage doing nothing Social media influencers are living like, ministers in this country. Just look at our parliament. Look at our parliament. 500, what are they even contributing to the development of this country? These are people who are backbenching from different countries, but we are doing nothing. If you look at PDM, if you get interested and read about Semoldo from South Korea, had 7 pillars and it still has 7 pillars. How many pillars have we implemented? The only focus is on financial inclusion. Give people money. People who have not been prepared. In my village, people receive money, people drunk. When you go to monitor, they show you a garden of Ginax, that this is my project. When you go to this, they will show you a goat, that I bought a goat, and this is what. I mean, I think, maybe we have to take a very different direction if we want to see results at the end of the day. That's my submission.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that. And Collins, yes, and I see you have a hand up. You have a comment to make, but also summing up what you think the manifestos are looking like, and if Ugandans are actually going to consider these to make their choices come 2026. Yes, Collins.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillip. I will say good afternoon once again. I'm so grateful. I think if Phillip would continue doing this and engage youth on every scale, Phillip would be a hero to some of us. As I earlier said, I'm not anywhere affiliated to any political party. Phillip, thank you for keeping engaging the youth, the millennials. I know one day, one time, will be their hero. I will quickly first answer Esther. Esther should first appreciate. You see, we are not lamenting. That's why I'm saying if Phillip could engage all the youth countrywide, you'll understand that we are not lamenting. But we are putting something clear that our nation has not benefited on. And I will say that political parties, for leadership to be what it should be in a democracy country, is not all after a political party. You can't be a leader not affiliated to any political party. We all know that. But when a political party comes out and tells us, look, I am the best, I can do this for you. Surely, Esther, me with my colleagues, Ivan will tell you, we shall count a lot on you. And on counting a lot on you, we shall look on many things. I heard you say that about drugs in Mlago. Does Museveni be the one to steal the drugs? He's not the one who is stealing the drugs. But the system is not clear, not certain on what should be happen in case there are no drugs. I can give an example. Museveni has been our president. He always passes Mulago around about going to State House, going to different areas. Which day has he said, let me pass this hospital and I check what is happening here? People are complaining. I know he has presidential advisors. What do they do for him? Which day have you had, apart from Parliament coming out and say, there is a problem here, as parliamentarians, let us go and first assess the problem. But him as our leader, let him not be a talking leader every day. He will be on mic, he will speak he has a good, I can say good ideas. He can speak. But does he also move ahead to enforce what he has spoken? Secondly, Mr. Michael had said something about the PDM. You get him, they will go at evening station. It's like, I can say, like a movie station. They say we have goats in the village. Who has a good goat of PDM? They take you to one person. But is he the only person who receives that money in the entire village? Why doesn't he question, where are others? So when we are talking about what we are facing right now, as the millennials, even the Gen Zs are going to face it. Yes, he would come back and lead us in this coming term, which is fine. But the 5 years of the past manifesto, what was done and what was completed, let us be accountable leaders. That if I come up with a manifesto and I say, this is what I'm going to do, please, before you bring us another manifesto, let us assess you to ascertain what did you promise and how far have you worked on it. Then I'll be clear on corruption. Esther, you said you cannot look for a job and you bribe. Esther, my sister, I don't know your status, your financial status. These government jobs, the rate of bribe is 20 million. So you never know, might have failed to bribe because you don't. You never know. You fail to bribe because you don't have the 20 million and that's how you gave up. The least people bribe, I can give an example. I'm a lawyer. I was having an interaction with someone who knows what happened last time in these new appointments in the judiciary. Someone said he paid 300 million to be a judge. What does it mean? Where does it leave us other young lawyers? where does it leave people who would be looking on other jobs? It's not only happening in judiciary, but even in other ministerial sectors happening. And why did this happen? It happened because of rationalization. We had ministerial departments, which were even performing more than ministerial bodies. Museveni had to go ahead with his cabinet, with his ruling party, and they brought rationalization. Ministerial departments were phased off. I can give an example of UNRWA. We have people who are jobless because of that, and UNRWA was performing well. So when we start fighting ourselves, when we are leading ourselves again, we go to that point of seeing things not working out. I can give an example of, again, I'll try to clarify corruption. In their past manifesto, they were fighting corruption. Corruption has, again, it came out. No one spoke. How could you be a minister? You're leading a certain ministry. You speak of parliament. People say we found iron sheets in our compound. Did they fry? You as a president with presidential advisors, can't you interrogate to understand? Yet you're saying you're fighting it. With your cabinet, you're fighting it. But people go hand-free. Where did those iron sheets come? Did they fry? They were subjected. So we need to scrutinize ourselves. We don't need to, it's like you're building a house and you see somewhere have not worked very well. Like maybe you say, this one I'll come back to collect it. But that may be the root, there may be a point where the house is going to begin to collapse from. So, my sister Esther, let's not put feelings into this. Maybe because you love NRM. Yes, I also love NRM. I love FDC. I love each and every person because I'm a Ugandan. But when we are telling you that those things are not made clearly, please listen to your colleagues. Because they're not fighting you, but they're telling you what is happening. And I don't know whether you've got a chance of meeting your head, Mr. President Museveni, and maybe share with him certain of the things you would appreciate. People clap hands for him, but deep inside there, they know that things are not right.
I can confirm they've met, but I can't confirm what the conversation was.
Yes, they might have met, but whenever they meet these people, they are looking on the envelope to come back with envelopes. I want to give an example. Me, I'm clear. I'll give an example of Namuganza. Namuganza, when she was before she became an analyst, by that time she was a counselor in the Busoga region. When Museveni went to see them, he promised them certain things. So when Museveni went back to visit, Namuganza came out and confronted Museveni. When he confronted Museveni, Museveni had to now say this woman was a leader, she's capable. He made her an RDC. From an RDC, she became an MP. She became a minister. Where did it end? So let us not meet our leaders to clap hands. Let us meet our leaders to assess them. Me, that's my idea. We are over clapping hands, and now we are the ones to suffer as the youth. Because, Esther, if you say you cannot manage to bribe a job in the government, which is worth 20 million, I will feel it. Because these jobs are ours, but they end up to people who have money. And who are the people who have money? The ruling party. So, as I conclude still, I will talk about service delivery. We need a mechanism of service delivery. I'm sorry to say it. I'm fighting for the youth because today we are looking at the youth. If you sit down with President Museveni or his presidential advisors, there is no millennial person in them. So whoever they are advising him, they will advise him on their issues that elders look on that are relevant. Yet the other issue, if there was like 4 to 5 youth members who are on the list of the people who advise the president, we would also blame them that are not doing something for us, but they are not there. So if you don't have presidential advisors who are of our age to advocate for us, we shall still blame the ruling party, which is you're not looking at and say we are lamenting. We're not lamenting. We have presidential advisors who are over 80. Right. And so we need people who would go there and they say, look, the youth are going through this. Can I give an example, quick one? If right now, I can give an example.
Yes, please, as you conclude in about 30 seconds.
Yes, I'm concluding. When you look at Moses Ali is still thinking that the country is the country of 1980s. When you look, most of them, so when they are meeting him to talk, they don't look on a border guy who's riding a motorcycle. I've looked at this guy who came up with a safe border. We are looking at the borders. FDC brought it clearly. Border people don't have insurance. But this guy with safe border came out and he has an insured part of it that helmets are given. When you fall down with a motorcycle, got an accident, there is that percentage they'll give you, so long as you are using safe border. So if we have youth who are innovative to that extent, Can't now the government, instead of getting that man and giving it to a sportman, divide it, put it to there and say, I've had an idea of this safe border guy. It is correct. Let us morale boost him. But playing football, this guy is going to wake up in the morning. I'm not against football. We have seen what happened. Chiprotich, last time he was a great athletic person. When they gave him everything, did he again represent the country? He collapsed. Everything collapsed. We have been pampering our prayers, pampering some people with talents, and we end in vain. Let us look on people who are innovative. Lastly, I'm going to conclude on centralizing power, political parties, centralizing power. Philip, I will pray one thing. Mr. Michael has left, but I'd said something very good. I will pray next time you would organize a debate on traffic. Traffic has become a problem. This traffic is not only a problem to us, even other people. Traffic everywhere. Even the youth who's going to go to hustle to work for money, he's blocked by traffic. You reach Fairway, they tell you that the leader of the ruling party is passing, and you're blocked for 1 hour until he passes. Couldn't we have roads which are enough? We are still using the roads. The map plan of the roads in Kampala is a map plan of 1970s, 60s, by the time Kampala was becoming a capital city. Can't we have other structures? Last time I was moving to Gomba, I talked to a gentleman. The gentleman asked me, but do you think NRM has worked? I was like, it has worked. The man told me no. Even when you look at the hospital, the structures of the hospitals we have, they are for another regime, not the ruling regime. So, my brothers and sisters, let us fight for ourselves. As the people say we are the leaders of tomorrow, I will keep appreciating that. But when is tomorrow? When will it come?
Thank you.
I want to
Collins.
tell people that we need to appreciate. We are appreciating NRM. I'm not saying that it has not worked. It has worked. But are we at the core there? That if we are to speak, if I meet someone from China, youth, if I meet someone from Vietnam or Hong Kong, me, a Ugandan youth, what will I say that we have as the youth? Thank you very much, Phil.
All right. Thank you, Collins. And Joyce, what do we do? Where do we go? I know the campaign is on, the different leaders are in your communities. I don't know if you've already selected who you're going to vote for, but certainly what should people consider to cast their vote come next year?
The campaign in this area is the competition is tight, a bit hot. But I think what people should concentrate on is, like Collins said, the law will give you on the right and take it on the left. Do not do something that will bring you in conflict with the law. Do not go on the streets screaming, causing chaos. Because sooner or later, the law will catch up with you. Or if not the law, the people themselves will take the law in their hands, and you'll end up where you're not supposed to be. So let's listen to their manifestos, yes, but let's also keep our eyes for what is being done. Let's look at what they have done or what they are doing so far, not more of what they are saying. Because people will talk, they say politicians are serial liars. So let's look at what they have done. If someone is coming in for the second term, third term, you ask them, okay, fine, you've been in power. What have you done for us? We look at what they have done. We take care of our own security ourselves. Let's be cautious. And then as you're going to vote, just take the initiative. People go and vote. Just vote wisely. But I'm going to say this. My sister Esther, I believe you are also a victim of, you said your colleague was bribing the voters to go out and probably didn't have the money to also bribe them, or you didn't want to bribe them. Now, that is the system we're talking about. So whatever government is in power, be it NRM, be it FDC, be it an independent person, we should look at fighting corruption. We should look at building proper infrastructures for the people. When we have infrastructures, generally the livelihood is going to improve in whichever community that is. And the youth are going to benefit from it as well. So let's fight the corruption diligently from the grassroots, from as small as a child to the biggest person. We develop our infrastructures. The youth and the citizens, let us also be cautious of our own securities and our well-being. Let's not go around causing chaos. Let's seek for what we want diplomatically and not resort to violence to get it. Thank you very much. And thank you, Philip.
All
Thank
right.
you, my fellow panelists. It has been a great discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. And perhaps I know we're very much out of time. We have about to be here by now, but let me give you Esther a minute to perhaps say something before we run out of here, because a lot has been really directed to you. And if you can use a minute and say something, if you have anyway, then we can come to the end of the conversation. Yes, Esther.
Hello?
Esther, are you
Can
there?
you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Yeah, I have heard what colleagues have said, and like I said, whatever everyone has said is right from their point of view. And by the way, I want people here to note it that even the people in NRM that actually see that everything is not moving on well. That one I can assure you. It is not only in opposition where people think things can be done better or in a special way. Like where people think that there is need to maybe do things in a better way. But what I want to say as part of my parting shot, today we're here to discuss about the manifestos. And like colleagues have said, yes, our manifestos has issues regarding youth. They have goodwill for youth. They have a plan for the young people. But like some of you have said, priorities must change in this country. And I have to agree to that yes, priorities must change. Where government puts some of its resources should actually be where it is most needed, you know. So I call upon government as a young person, as a young leader, who is really trying to do my best to be the voice for very many other young people in the country that might not have a platform or that might not be able to meet, to be on such spaces where voices can be heard, to call upon government that, yeah, there are very many things that young people really need. And all we are asking for is prioritizing young people. Because we are sure in all ministries, in all departments, there are tables for the young people. There are very many good things for the young people, but most of them do not know them. And apart from knowing them, they are being sidelined. So we call upon government. You really know our problems through our Ministry of Gender. There were the paper that we wrote. And also, I was part of the team that was drafting the National Youth Manifesto, what the different political parties have in stock this campaign period, 2026-2031 for the youth. Recommendations are in there regarding startups, regarding tax incentives for small businesses, regarding scaling, regarding all sectors in the National Youth Manifesto. Please, government, take it up
Maybe
and support the young
Esther,
people. Then to the CSOs, well done.
a
Then to
quick
the young
one,
people.
maybe as the final one from you,
Parting
cutting
shots, not
budget of
so.
the National Youth Council that you lead together with Jacob. You've not handed over power yet. Cutting the budget from, was it about 8 billion or 4 billion? One of those are to about 800
Oh, okay. That
million,
came from
and the president promised to
rationalization.
raise in terms of having the budget restored.
Philip, that resulted from rationalization that was happening. Very many agencies being brought back together into one other main maybe agency, I should say. We have now the National Secretariat for Special Interest Groups. So that is how we got affected. It was general. In all agents that were put together, there was an 80% budget cut. And that is how the National Youth Council also got affected. But we met up the president as the current leaders and we explained why our budget should be reinstated, and he promised to do that. And we are sure in the next financial year, starting, is it June? Yes, July, there will be an increment in our budget back to the 4 billion, such that at least young people get to do different activities that will enable them support the work of the youth in this country a bit better. But also, I was giving my final remarks that I call upon young people of our country I have not seen, I've not been saying
Please
lamenting
make it short.
in a bad way. Yeah. But I call upon young people I call upon young people in Uganda to take up, to get interested, it should be. Bananga Sirika. To get interested. Sorry. I call upon young people to get interested in in affairs of our country. You know, it should not be us complaining. I'm not saying that people here were complaining, but I want us young people, not only the ones on the panel, but also in other structures, whatever you are doing, do it with a lot of energy, with all your mind, knowing that you're doing it for the betterment of not only yourself, but also your community. So whatever you do it knowing that you're doing something to ensure that there is development of your community and your country at large. Also, let us step out of our comfort zones as young people. The government has a plan for us. Other political parties also have a plan for us. Now, let us try to ensure that we support them and ensure that at least a good percentage of the plans actually realized. I appreciate you people for inviting me and having me on a call. I hope I've been beneficial to the young people and also to the panelists. I wish you all a blessed weekend. Esther Nankya is my name. May the good Lord bless you all. I sign out.
Amen. Esther Nankya, Vice Chairperson of the National Youth Council. Thank you so much for your time and for the thoughts you had with us. And we hope indeed that is restored the coming year so that you are able to deliver the aspirations of the youth that you lead, or the youth of this country, regardless of their political parties. Collines Himbaza, thank you so much for your time and for the thoughts you've shared with us here on this platform. Alobo Salme Joyce, thank you so much for your thoughts and for making time to the conversation. Michael Mwenyi, thank you so much for your thoughts and for making time for the conversation. And indeed, Masawi Ivan, who dropped off earlier, thank you so much for joining us and for your thoughts you've shared with us. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for keeping it Community Voices Uganda and indeed the wider Civic Space TV. Special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance and all our partners that power these conversations, and also special to the technical team that puts together all the technical that is able to be broadcast out there. I am Phillip Muliisa, and let me express how honored I have been to moderate this conversation and have all of you here, and I look forward to having you more when we invite you and we discuss more of these conversations that shape our country. Thank you so much, and may you be blessed and have yourselves a good time.